What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hardcore Fab channel. On today's video, we are working on hookers and blow. And if you guys have not been following along with hookers and blow, this is our 1946 Chevy pickup rat rod wrecker truck. We've got the inside of it all painted up now. Outside is staying like that. We're not changing any of that. And it's about time to get it married over to our chassis. We've got a full custom air ride chassis. A lot of work in that right there, and we've got a ton of videos on all that stuff already, so if you're interested, go back and check out all that stuff. Now, for everyone that's been following along with the channel, this is where our shifter ended up, and I think it's time to go ahead and get the cut in the cab so we can get that thing down onto the chassis. And I think also, while it's still up in the air and easily accessible, I might as well try to get a few other things done inside the cab too, so you know I'm not having to crawl around on the floor and do that stuff. So gonna try to knock out all that stuff today and get it all down onto the frame. Alright, so I think the first thing that I want to try to get done inside the cab here is to get a lid over here on top of our seat bases. And that's going to allow me to have a place to mount my seats and all of that, but it's also going to give me a place to sit if I need to while I'm working on some of the other stuff inside here. So I want to do those first, and we've already cut some wood for those in one of the previous videos. You can go back and find that if you want to. But all I need to do now is just figure out a way to attach the wood to the top of this base. So for this side, I've got this piece of a hinge material right here, and I'm going to just stick it right here on the inside of this box, and that's going to allow us to have our whole lid right here hinge up to the passenger side. I can't put it on the front here. I've already kind of played with it a little bit, and if I do that with the steering column and steering wheel there and the seat, it doesn't come up far enough to really get in here and try to access anything. So if I go to the side, that's going to give me a lot more accessibility to getting in here and putting in all kinds of stuff in this big giant storage area. Now, I already did have some material here, and you can kind of see it back there on the table maybe. It's kind of a brown color, and I was going to wrap it with that before we attached everything, but you put that inside the cab here, and it does not look good at all. It goes from being brown out in the sunlight by itself to being in here and kind of turning maroon with all this extra color that's in here. I guess it kind of just soaks some of it up, and it definitely looks maroon and doesn't look good. So Julie's gone. She went to go try to find some different materials, so hopefully I can have this stuff done by the time she gets back, and then we can wrap that and that part will be over. Neat.
They didn't have much, but I found some stuff.
Black.
Yeah, I figured black would match the cab a little better with the other accents that we got going on in there.
Yeah, we got the black steering wheel and the black shifter knob and
now a black bench.
okay.
Some black vinyl stuff. That was the last of it, so we can't screw it up because I don't have any more.
So you're doing this.
Okay. If that's what that means, I'm on it.
I put that upon you.
All right.
All right, I gotta fit this other one to this hinge, and then you can have these and wrap them.
Okay.
Sweet. Well, Julie got those lids wrapped, and then I went ahead and stuck the seats down to them. They're pretty much there right now. I've got the bolts through the holes. I don't have nuts on the bottom side, so that if I need to pull them in or out or whatever, I still can. Not be that big of a deal. But yeah, for the most part, they're done. They're in there, and I think they work pretty decent for the time being. The color of them, we put kind of like an off-white ivory type thing on the color of the seats, and I think that looks pretty good with the rest of it. So I think for now that's going to work. She went ahead and found this material right here when she found this, and we're going to try to go ahead and make our own seat cushions. We'll see how that goes. We really don't have the right stuff, and we're really not upholstery people, so it's probably not going to go very well, but we're going to do it anyways. And this is just going to get us by for now. So what my ultimate goal here is in the end, I really kind of just see a full bench all the way across here, and I also envision something that's aluminum, that's bead rolled, that has 500 solid rivets in it, that takes like 75 or 100 hours to make. So that's what I would really like to see in here eventually at some point, and I'm going to do that at some point. I just don't have the time frame to be able to do it right now, and this is going to get us by until we get to that point. So I think I'm happy with that for what it's going to be. So there you guys go. I'll show you what it looks like here when I lift up the lid. It's actually got a lot of room in there for being able to access everything. I am going to go ahead and try to cut one more piece of plywood that will go on the bottom of here and then kind of recess down into this gap so that we don't put all of the load of positioning the seat strictly on the hinge, because it's not a super big hinge and I don't see that actually holding up for a while. So anyways, I'm going to do that to kind of help locate that, but that's not that big of a deal. Just cutting a piece of plywood and stick it on the bottom. So I think I'm ready now to move on to something else, and I guess we're going to probably start putting some Dynamat in the cab. Pretty easy to do it right here on the doors right now, and it'd be easy to get to the firewall and everything. So I'm going to knock that out, and then I'll see what else we can do, I guess. So anybody that's been around in these old trucks know that they're pretty tinny sounding. Don't have much in them for insulation. I never drove one new, obviously, because it's like 50 years older than I am, or 30 years older than I am, or whatever it is. So obviously I never drove one new. But I can't imagine that even if I was to put everything back together and put all this back together stock and all original, that it would be still all that great by today's standards, you know, obviously. So I'm going to try to add some stuff to it to try to make it nicer. That's ultimately the goal with the whole truck, is to try to make it nicer, to better drive and more fun and just more enjoyable. So the Dynamat is going to help us out with that. I mean, this has obviously been a problem for a while because look how crusty this old rubber is. It clinks when it hits the table. So this door's got something shoved in there, so somebody's already been fighting this, and that was probably, who knows, back in the 60s or something when they shoved that rubber in there. The other door doesn't have anything in there, so apparently, for whatever reason, they didn't need some over there, but I don't know if, well, that comes out pretty good too. Guess we'll try to take as much of this loose stuff out as we can, and then I want to get this all cleaned up and start putting some Dynamat in here. Now that stuff's stuck in there pretty good. Guess we'll leave that. So Super Clean sent us over some cleaners. I guess they emailed and Julie said that, yeah, she'd do a video on it and see how it does. Wish I'd have had this a while back when I was cleaning up motor parts, but I don't have anything else to clean with right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just try it real quick, and surely it'll take off dirt. It's supposed to be kind of a degreaser and heavy cut cleaner or something. Ooh, it's strong. So yeah, like I said, the Dynamat is a stick-on product, so we definitely got to get everything all cleaned up in here to be able to apply it. Wow. That stuff is strong. I still have COVID nose. I can't really smell it, but it's kind of taking my breath away, to be honest with you. I might actually cut through some stuff. Now I'm kind of intrigued to try it on some grease. Alright, it's Dynamat time. So our first Dynamat product that we're going to be using is Dynamat Extreme. This is a sound deadening material, is what it's designed for mostly. It's going to go inside of our door panels, I'm going to put it on probably the roof and the firewall, the back of the cab some there. Got all your instructions there. Cool sticker, of course. And this material is actually pretty heavy. It's got some substance to it. So it comes in these strips that you have to cut. At least this does in this bulk pack. I think they now offer some that is pre-cut for some makes and models. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they do. So this is what we're kind of looking like here. So it's kind of a rubbery, tarry type deal, which obviously it had to be able to have any kind of sound deadening qualities. But it's got a nice aluminum backer on the back of it, so it's a clean installation when it's all in there, and you don't have to worry about, you know, any of your other upholstery or anything getting in contact with any of this stuff that's on the back side of the pad here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get a measurement or two over here and start cutting some of this up, and you guys can see it go in. Well, let's stick it on there. First thing we've got to do is get this backer piece off of here, and then we can get it kind of worked down into place. This particular one, I've tried to cut as big as I possibly could and cover as much as I possibly could. You don't have to have 100% coverage. This will definitely make a huge difference even if you're only partially covered, but I figured I've got it. I might as well try to get as far in as I can. So try to get it in here. There we go. Sweet. Now I've got just a little simple roller that I'm going to use to just press it on and make sure I've got as much of the air bubbles out of it as I can, and just work it into place. So our first piece is pretty flat and everything, so the roller actually works out pretty good. If you've got something that's got a lot of contours in it, you're going to have to try to find something to get it pushed down into those spots. I'm going to have to do that when I come up here to the firewall, so we'll see what I can find at that point and be able to push that all in. But first piece is on, that looks great, and I think we're ready to start measuring out and cut the rest. So we'll knock this out. So that's one door down, and it actually went pretty smooth. I cut it into some strips right here and was able to slide underneath this cross member in this door, so we've got really good coverage now over the whole entire door skin. Got that little spot right here. There was some stuff hanging there that I couldn't really get anything in there, but like I told you earlier, you don't have to have full coverage on this stuff for it to work. Check this out. So that's our door that we just did, and then you come over here to the other door that we haven't done yet. That's a night and day difference right there. So I think now we need to knock out the rest of the cab so it all sounds like that other door. Alright, so the Dynamat Extreme is in. I think that looks great. I definitely know that it's going to make a difference on the way it sounds. We've all heard that now. And you guys can see now too that the Wilwood brake pedal is in. Figured we're at that right height. I might as well try to knock that out right now too. So that's in there. You guys never really did get to see exactly how that was mounted in there before. So now you get a good idea of how that's in there. And I think while we're still here at this height, Dynamat also sent us over some of their dyno liner, and I think it'd be a good time to go ahead and put a piece of that up here on our firewall as well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and lay this out on the table and cut some of it. I think that'll be actually probably what I end up using for covering over the firewall. I think this stuff looks pretty good, so I don't think that I need to put anything else up there. So that'll actually make that officially done after we get this up. So with the Dynamat Extreme, you guys heard the difference in sound and what it did there and how well that worked. So its main purpose is for sound, although it is going to give you a little bit of a thermal break. The purpose of the dyno liner is mostly thermal break, although of course it's going to help out with a little bit of sound. So when you combine the two together, you've got a really great product. So the way this works is it too is also just a sticky back, and it just sticks right over the top of the other Dynamat. So since I plan on using the dyno liner as my final view of what you look at when you look up underneath the dash of the truck, I want it to have a little bit better look than just some pieces put together on there. So I made a cardboard cutout of what the firewall shape is, and I'm just going to lay that down on this here like so. And I'm going to trace it out with magic marker and cut it out with a pair of scissors. that sounds way better than it did before, so that's pretty awesome. It's just like the door, it just sounds way better. And I have to think that that extra layer of Duraliner in there on top of all of that is going to keep a lot of heat from radiating off of our motor and transferring through the firewall and ultimately heating up the inside of the cab. So should make everything a lot more pleasant in there. I am going to go ahead and probably put some in the doors, some of the Duraliner in the doors as well. They actually say don't do that, but I'm going to do it anyways. Can't hurt anything. These things have no insulation of any sort. They're just tin, so I think just having a little bit of extra something in there would probably be great. And I want to go ahead and put it all up inside the top of the cab and in the back of the cab and all that stuff too. But I kind of need to get it off these forks, I think, because I don't want to be getting in and out of here and dump it off the forks and screw it all up. So I guess I'm out of excuses now, and I have nothing left to do at this point other than to pop a hole in that tunnel for our shifter. So I guess, wish me luck. So Julie is worried that I'm going to put the hole in the wrong spot. I don't know why she's so worried about that. I mean, she should know by now that I know what I'm doing. And I have got a extremely high-tech way of figuring out exactly where the shifter goes. So this involves computers, this involves the internet, this involves videoing stuff and editing video, and this involves uploading things to the internet just to be able to figure out exactly where my shifter goes on this. And it's pretty simple once you get all of those things figured out. So I'll show you guys my method of figuring out exactly where the shifter goes. So we got our shifter, or we got our tunnel right here. We got all that. We know where that is. Now we've got our transmission over here. And we know that the shifter for the transmission is dead in the center of the tranny, right down the middle of the tranny. You guys can see that. So now all we got to do, we know that's going to be in the center of the hump because I put the hump directly over the center of the transmission. So now all we got to do is figure out exactly where this direction it goes. So to be able to figure that out, come over here to my computer, and this is where my high-tech figuring out comes into play here. Oh, wake up. So I went to Hookers and Blow Build Part 6 on the YouTube channel, and I found out that, get you guys down here where you can see, if you look right there, there's the tranny mount, and that's the bolts for the tranny mount, and it looks like we're about a ½ inch off of that mount, off of that ear, to where we get to that front section right there of our seat base. So now, if I get a measurement off of my transmission, I'll just go ahead and do it here real quick. Get a measurement off of that mount. I'm gonna come in here. I don't know if you guys can see this or not yet. Okay, so come in there about like that. We're looking at about 13.5 inches, and we're good. So right down the center of the hump and about 13.5 inches off of that seat base should be about the center of that shifter. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop a hole there and go for it. I think it'll be fun. Well, I measured it out. I'm gonna go ahead and pop in a little spot here to pre-drill it, and then we'll stick a hole in here and see what happens, I guess. Ooh, don't do that. First hole down. This might get interesting on this hump. Go nice and easy. Oh, already got interesting. Of course, freaking battery goes dead. Well, that was fairly uneventful. Now to see if it'll fit. Well, it's the next morning, cab is on there, my phone died in the middle of us sitting it on there. My buddy Terry came by and he helped me sit that on there and we got it on without scratching it, so no big deal there. The hole was okay. I put a 2-inch hole in there to start with, and I knew I was going to end up needing about 4 inches to be able to clear everything for the shifter sticking up through, so had plenty of room to kind of dial it in right there, so wasn't really a big deal at all cutting the hole. I'll give you guys a look at that. Now it's still not pretty because I don't have the cab set in the exact right spot that I need to have it sitting to be able to finish that off and make it look nice. And of course I've still got to get a boot for it too. But my problem now is that I end up using a newer style 4L80 transmission to be able to do the mock-up and everything. And the newer style transmission has a transmission line in the front of the case and it has one in the back of the case. And I had held up some fittings up there and it looked like I was going to have plenty of room on the tunnel that I made. But what I didn't take into consideration is this transmission is a earlier model 4L80, and for some reason or another on the earlier models they had the transmission lines in the front of the case, and apparently must be in a little bit different spot or something because now it does not clear the tunnel inside the truck. So that sucks pretty bad. So I wasn't able to actually get that on there last night 100%. Let me see if I can get you guys down in there. You can probably see it from up top. I've got a pretty good shot of it. So my camera's having a hard time focusing there with everything going on in that tunnel, but you can probably see right there that the top transmission line is actually up against the inside of the tunnel. So that's not working for us because it needs to actually have the cab move over about another, like I said, 3/4 of an inch or so to be able to get to where it needs to be. So the new fittings that I've got coming are banjo style fitting, and they're going to take up probably close to 1/3 of the same amount of space that those are taking up right now. So hopefully with those, that will get us back into shape and we'll be able to continue moving forward with that. But the problem with that is it's going to be probably 2 days before they're here. So that sucks a little bit. So I guess I'm going to move on to doing some other stuff, and I guess we'll have to come back to all of that on the cab and stuff here on another video. This one's getting pretty long anyways, so I guess that's about all I got for you guys on this one, and I'll see you guys on the next one.